More flooding rains continue across portions of our area right now. And of course, I've got your weekend forecast. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here with you. Great to see you here at Meteo Mundo. Thanks for tuning in on this Friday. Hope things have been going well. Coming up, we're rolling into our weekend and we're going to take a look at the areas that I expect to see some heavy rain and those that will continue to bake. Obviously, if there's anything tropical going on as well. Let's get right into the video here. You are looking at our broad infrared satellite imagery and our lightning data all in real time for you here. Still tracking some heavy flooding rains through portions of our area. We'll start off in some of the spots we've been talking about here recently, and that is going to be through portions of Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, and portions of the northern Leeward Islands as well. We did just have a flash flood watch expire for flood-prone areas of Antigua, Barbuda, St. Kitts and Nevis. They had some heavier rain earlier today. Doesn't mean they won't get an additional downpour or two, but again, that flash flood watch has just expired late on this Friday afternoon. And of course, they could reissue it as well, which is why I always say check in with your local officials for the latest updated information. I do want to start off again with what's happening in Puerto Rico right now, because we continue to see flash flood warnings develop here on the northwest side of the island. Now, some of this, as I'm recording this, could actually end here relatively quickly. As a matter of fact, I believe the one that was just in effect here for the San Sebastian area has been allowed to expire. But it's all about where the heavy rain has developed again today. And right over the Arecibo area here, we continue to see heavy rain, and some of that is leading to more flash flooding. I actually have that up from the National Weather Service right now. Again, they've had up to 3 inches of rain in this area. An additional 1 to maybe a little bit more is going to fall, and just flash flooding is ongoing. Again, mudslides could be an issue. Now I'm going to take off the satellite data and I'm going to switch over to our NexRad product here. I do have to bring on the NexRad radar. I'm going to do that right now. So it's going to zoom out. It's going to pop on the radar here from the southeast side of the island, and then that's going to pop on, and we'll take a look at where some of that heavier rain is. And it's very clear to see right now. And again, take a look at that. This flash flood warning goes for about the next 2 hours here. That's 6:45 Atlantic Standard Time, by the way. But again, flash flood warnings, excuse me, only generally last a couple of hours in most areas. So I can't rule out that more flash flooding could persist in portions of Puerto Rico throughout our Friday. So please check in with the National Weather Service office in San Juan. But that's a big batch of rain from Isabela on over towards Arecibo. Certainly the western sides of the island hit pretty hard for today. Back down towards Mayaguez and the southwest sides of the island. Scattered showers off towards the east. We've had some heavier rain roll across the eastern islands and the U.S. and the British Virgin Islands as well. It was a little bit more concentrated earlier today. There's a nice little shower just north and west of St. Croix, and it's generally drifting off towards the east. We have some heavier rain right now through portions of St. John and Tortola and the Road Town areas. All of that tracking off towards the east. Notice right now, there is no lightning out of any of that particular activity here. So it's just basically downpours as we speak. Again, can't rule out a few thunderstorms redeveloping, but once again, it is Puerto Rico with more flash flooding on this Friday afternoon. Maybe a little bit more isolated in nature. And again, we're trying to slowly dry things out, but even over the weekend, this area has the opportunity for more additional heavy rain. But again, I'm hoping that we're trying to, alleviate some of the flood threat here. That's about the best that we can do, despite the fact that we are going to get more additional heavy showers. So back out to the wide imagery here. And again, let me make sure I get the lightning data back on as well. Let's talk about some of the other areas. As I've already mentioned, portions of the Leeward Islands have had some heavy rainfall for today again as well. Throw on the visible satellite imagery. Might be a little bit clearer to see some of that over the last 6 hours. Moving off here, kind of just lifting up to the north, and you can see some of that. Notice how this cloud movement is very slow. So we've drifted some of that heavier rain through portions of Anguilla and St. Martin and St. Bartholomew. But again, some of the areas that were mentioned, Barbuda and Antigua, St. Kitts and Nevis, and certainly some heavier rain across portions of Ceiba, St. Eustatius for today. basically we've just had some good downpours here as you get down towards Guadalupe, and you can see some of the showers moving in. It's the same situation the last several days. You get Dominica south and you start to see drier weather move in. We still have a little bit of that Saharan dust that's currently in play as well. And again, the temperatures will kind of bear this out. I'm going to throw those on for you right now. And you can see places like Martinique here have gotten into the lower 90s for today. Notice again in these areas to the north and to the west, it's just a little bit cooler as those clouds and those heavier showers have poured back into the area. But Martinique south, St. Lucia into the lower 90s again today as well. Barbados, you can see that, and you can almost see a little bit of that haze. Now, it's a very interesting feature here right along basically Trinidad and Tobago. There's a bit of haze in the sky. There's actually not a lot of rain. We can't rule out a rogue shower, but it's been just a very hazy day across this area, almost some blow up, higher cirrus clouds just kind of wisping in across the area. This is actually a very large scale feature. I can show you this on the enhanced satellite imagery. Might look a little bit easier here. Just this band of moisture situated right over the ABC Islands in Trinidad and Tobago for today. Again, it's not been a lot of rain, but the temperatures have dropped a little bit in accordance with that, and there's certainly some haze that is still in play in this area as well. As I mentioned, the ABC Islands, not a lot of showers for today. Temperatures there have mainly been in the upper 80s to the lower 90s. Zooming back out here again, one of the areas that I've been continuing to monitor is what's happening right now through Hispaniola, the Dominican Republic. Certainly, we're going to see an isolated shower or two, but we're beginning to dry out a little bit more. Now, I do expect a few more storms to develop late on this Friday afternoon in the early evening hours across the island. So rain chances will still be decent for today and then Saturday and Sunday. But again, we're trying to get more dry hours here to alleviate any of the flood threat through the areas. Turks and Caicos have also been drying out as well. Notice that they've enjoyed a lovely day there with temperatures that have just been in the lower 80s. On over to my friends in Jamaica, an isolated shower or two trying to ramp up on this late Friday afternoon. You can see some of that right there. It's much more spotty. Again, no lightning out of any of this, but the opportunity for a passing downpour is possible across the island. Right now, it's basically through the heart of the island, north and west of Maypen and Mandeville areas, just kind of right through the central part of the island right now, moving off towards the east. We could clip Kingston, Port Antonio, and I expect additional showers to develop. We'll talk about this, but generally speaking, the rain chance begins to lower in this area. And one of the reasons why, when I show you the upper water vapor here, you can see that we have entrenched drier air. Now, part of this is, of course, going to be the Saharan dust layer moving west and spreading out a little bit. It's beginning to dissipate some, but it's becoming more prominent as well as far as the coverage area across the Caribbean. We still have this complex of showers and storms in the Southwest Caribbean. I always monitor this. Again, not a lot of twist. Nothing looks tropical, at least at this point in time. A few showers and storms there. It's a little bit more squirrely on the western side here in the Pacific there to the western sides of like Honduras and Nicaragua. We'll monitor that as it moves away. And again, our friends in portions of the Yucatan and Central America continue to just absolutely bake. It's not bad along the coastline, but places like San Ignacio, again for today, have easily tripped above the triple-digit mark, and very hot and generally dry weather is expected to persist in this area over the next several days. We just don't get a lot of relief here in the western sides of the area, as I've mentioned in the last several videos, outside of a rogue shower, maybe some of that trying to drift back to the western coastlines, but that would be about it. We're enjoying another lovely day here in the Bahamas. Now look, we are going to see a few storms develop in North Florida late tonight. They're going to try and make a run south, and there's an opportunity for an isolated shower or storm in portions of the far northwest Bahamas early tomorrow morning, maybe through the afternoon, and it might just be Walker's Key and Grand Bahama. That might be as far south as we're able to get some of this activity. But again, temperatures are kind of all over the place for today. Generally speaking, we're well into the upper 80s or the lower 90s. As far as winds go, keeping an eye on that. At this point in time, there aren't a lot of marine issues. We do have a small craft caution in the Bahamas. We do have some swells on the western side of Barbados. But again, as far as just seeing strong enough winds to cause any widespread issues, it's just simply not the case. And again, some of the showers and storms through portions of Puerto Rico have flared up a breeze from time to time. Ponce about a 20-mile-an-hour wind, and San Juan at around a 25. So that's kind of the latest as far as what's happening right now across the area. Let's talk about that Saharan dust layer real quickly for you here. I'm gonna take myself off camera, and you're looking at the latest Saharan dust imagery. So what does that look like? Well, the purples are gonna be where the Saharan dust is thickest, and you notice that has been able to progress much farther off towards the west. So again, it's not as concentrated, but it is more spread out for today, and that will continue to be a situation that will continue to move across the Caribbean through the remainder of the weekend. It's even going to try and curl up and get into the Yucatan and maybe portions of Cuba and the Bahamas early next week, but it will be doing so in a much more dissipated fashion. Now look, it's still pretty thick in the Windward Islands, drifting over the ABC Islands, and some of that again might suppress some of the thunderstorm activity in the southwest Caribbean right now, which is why even though there is some persistent storms, I'm not too concerned about anything trying to spin up, at least at this point in time. Saharan dust layer certainly coming into factor as far as that goes. All right, so let's take a look at the rain forecast in your area the next several days. And as I do so, a few things. First of all, I haven't asked yet, but it takes just 2 seconds. If you wouldn't mind clicking that like video, I appreciate it. If you're new to Meteo Mundo and you've been looking for your latest daily forecasts across the Caribbean and the Bahamas, up-to-date information, what's happening right now, but of course look at the tropics as well. Click that subscribe button. You found your home. We appreciate you as well. Coming up, we're going to go island by island, take a look at your rain forecast in detail over the weekend. So let's get started with the broad perspective here. And again, we'll take a look at some of the areas where we have to monitor the situation for some of that heavier rain. Now, again, the models are beginning to fade some of this as this entire system works its way off to the north, to the east, and it finally is. That trough is finally beginning to move away. It's going to get caught up in a mid-latitude cyclone, and we're finally going to pull some of that moisture out of the area. Now, that being said, does that mean it's a completely dry weekend for Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands? Absolutely not. So the model here, the remainder of our Friday, again, will begin to bring in a few more showers this evening. Now it's the eastern side of the island through the U.S., British Virgin Islands that could see more downpours in an isolated storm tonight. Again, it's not just in the afternoon, it's more concentrated and heavier in the afternoon, but some of this rain is going to persist into the evening hours as well. Let me zoom out just a little bit. We'll get all the islands in this one shot. And again, for tomorrow, we'll ramp up a few more scattered showers and storms. Some of this could be on the heavier side for Saturday. And then I do expect there to be a little bit lower chance for rain on Sunday, certainly across the Virgin Islands, and even a little bit more spotty over Puerto Rico as well. That's what we finally need to see, and especially getting rid of some of the heavier rain as well. The same situation will play out in Hispaniola. We'll still see a decent concentration for some rain over the next couple of days here, but again, drier air is beginning to move in. So you can see, as I've mentioned, here, this is later this evening. That's a decent spread of rain from Port-au-Prince all the way to the eastern coastline of the Dominican Republic. Places like Santo Domingo and Punta Cana, Santiago de los Caballeros could certainly still see an isolated shower or storm later today. As we get into tomorrow, we're going to ramp it back up again. Again, a fairly decent chance, so not a completely dry Saturday as well. And then on Sunday, we finally begin to see some of that rain fade into Tuesday as well. I'm gonna let that run one more time here. You can see as we get into Monday and Tuesday, we do get some drier air coming back in. Now, despite the fact that the Turks and Caicos aren't too far away, the drier air has already nudged in here, so I don't expect a ton of rain for the Turks and the Caicos. And that's going to be the same situation for my friends in Jamaica as well. Again, really isolated, rain chances beginning to lower, which means, of course, it's going to feel hotter and hotter outside. Notice our model for the remainder of today isn't very optimistic on any more showers developing. We'll see if we can catch a few right around sunset, but that would be about it. As we get into into tomorrow, again, you don't see a lot of green on the map, friends. And then even into Tuesday, or into Sunday, not a lot of green. So we're just getting drier. And again, just a little bit of haze will be working its way into the Western Caribbean as that drier air from the Saharan dust layer begins to work its way in. Now back over to the Leeward Islands. And again, this is an area that could still see some pockets of heavy rain tonight and through portions of tomorrow as well. Certainly drying out in general. But again, the opportunity for some downpours in this area. Now, it may not be as concentrated, but all of this area, Anguilla, and Ceiba, and Barbuda, and Antigua, Montserrat, Guadeloupe, all of these areas could still see some brief heavier downpours. Once again, you get south of this region into Dominica and areas off towards the south, and it just simply becomes drier. Again, the Saharan dust layer is still a factor in this, but certainly just not as much moisture transport here. Again, that surface trough is elongated west to east, hasn't dropped off towards the south. Still in the wake of the thickest Saharan dust, there's not a ton of moisture in this region to develop here in the Atlantic Basin. I will mention at the end of this forecast, this is a little system I'll be watching right here, just a little bit of that persistent thunderstorm activity. South and east is trying to work its way north a little bit closer to the Windward Islands. So I'll be watching that for you here. If nothing else, it might try and up our rain chance a little bit. Sorry about that. Might try and up our rain chance a little bit by mid to late week in some areas that could desperately use some rain. Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, my friends in Trinidad and Tobago, even St. Lucia, even portions of Martinique. It's been pretty dry. We'll try and get you a little bit more rain later next week. ABC Islands, again, you've had some downpours, but many of you said, look, it's been dry. And by the way, of course, you have a specific question about the forecast, you can certainly drop that in the comments section below. Obviously, I'd love to hear from my friends how you guys have been doing. Would certainly love to hear from some of the folks in the areas that have had some heavy rain. Our thoughts are with you guys. I hope it's been a little bit drier. As I zoom out, and again, just to show you this moisture fetch here in the Pacific, some of the biggest energy that's been coming off of portions of Central America, Costa Rica and Panama are moving off towards the west. Again, part of this is that Saharan dust layer is a little bit drier here in the Southwest Caribbean, a little bit more energy down here to maybe pop off something eventually in the Eastern Pacific. And again, for our western zones, it's a relatively high and dry forecast, guys. Roatan, San Pedro Sula, Tegucigalpa, Managua, Belize City, Cancun, brief showers or two. The kinds of temperatures you've seen lately is exactly what I expect the next few days. And if nothing else, maybe even it creeps up a degree or two as well. For my friends in the Cayman Islands, it's about a 10% chance for a couple of showers. A rogue shower is possible, but many dry hours in locations there. Now look, the Bahamas continue to see dry weather. As a matter of fact, they're still under that short-term drought watch in the Northwest Bahamas. I'll switch models here real quick. And again, as I do so, if you wouldn't mind hitting that like button for me, I appreciate you very much. Just again, looking at how the storms coming out of Florida later tonight will play into the forecast here early on our weekend. And again, this nice high resolution model. It's going to take a second here to ramp up all of it, but we can kind of see how this is going to play out. So again, later tonight, showers and storms will develop in north central Florida and work their way south and east. Could be a decent concentration of some of that to the eastern sides, but as far as what's going to be happening in the Northwest Bahamas, we're going to get some passing showers, a potential for an isolated thunderstorm here right around daybreak or just after for Walker's Key, Grand Bahama, the Abaco area, maybe portions of the Bimini area as well, maybe as far south as Eleuthera and New Providence and Andros. But this rain, guys, it fades away pretty quickly. Again, Freeport, Lucaya, Marsh Harbor, better chance for showers in an isolated storm compared to Nassau and the Dunmore-Town area there. Just not going to see a lot, but some of these areas that are desperate for some rain, you could catch some of that early tomorrow morning, maybe through lunchtime. You can see the model does hold on to some there in the Abaco area into the afternoon. Spotty, but hey, you catch a downpour, consider yourselves lucky. Again, small craft should exercise caution. Bit of an easterly breeze out in these areas. So how does the rain play out here over the next several days? Well, let's break this down for you here, island by island. For Jamaica, 30% chance the remainder of today, It's a 20% chance at best Saturday and Sunday, guys. It's going to be steamy across the island. Keep that in mind. Northwest Bahamas, there's your 20% chance for a shower early tomorrow in the extreme northwest Bahamas. Otherwise, it's a dry forecast. Turks and Caicos, not much rain. An isolated shower is possible. Dominican Republic, 50% chance the remainder of today. It's a 60% chance for tomorrow. Still some heavy rain possible, but then we're back down to a 30% chance on Sunday. Cayman Islands are mainly dry, and I don't expect a drop of rain in places like Belize City, Cancun, or Cozumel over the weekend. For our other areas, Puerto Rico, 70% chance continues today and tonight. Same thing on Saturday. Look, Sunday's rain is still going to be 60% chance. I just hope we're finally getting rid of the extremely heavy rainfall in the area. But again, with the water levels so high, please make sure you keep an eye out to local officials, National Weather Service in San Juan for some of the newest flash flood potential across the island. Still could see some decent rain across the U.S. Virgin Islands and the British Virgin Islands. Again, could turn to a bit more spotty, but there's still some tropical moisture and some downpours at play over the weekend. We'd love to hear from some friends there how things have been going for you. Antigua Barbuda, again, higher rain chances the remainder of today, and then a lower chance Saturday and Sunday. And I just have very low rain chances in for places like St. Lucia, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago. Again, I can't rule out an odd passing shower, but not a lot. Many dry hours and locations, and a few isolated showers and storms trying to crop up over the ABC Islands as well. Taking a look at the rainfall totals over the next 5 days. We have alleviated some of those brighter, grays and whites, and those were marking, 3, 4, 5 inches of rain in some of these areas. So it is an indication that we're finally beginning to see some of the drier air move in. But still, again, the opportunity for some decent rainfall totals. Again, it's not going to end up being nearly as much here, and hopefully this thing will cooperate and pop on a couple of numbers. It does. Thank you. I appreciate this working from time to time. ½ inch to an inch of rain in a lot of spots. But again, here, the last video I did, we were still looking at 3 and 4 inches of rain across the Dominican Republic. So certainly winding down the heavier rain, although the entire island still has the opportunity for some of those showers. Again, still my concerns for Puerto Rico. If we get another 1.5 inches of rain in Arecibo and Vega Baja and San Juan and Guaynabo and Utialto, it's still a problem, all right? It's still going to be an issue. Fajardo, look, another ½ inch of rain, if it comes fast enough, could still be a problem here. But it's good to just see that we're not, looking at these models and talking about an additional 3 to 4 inches. So these are going to be widespread ½ inch to at most inch rainfall totals across the Virgin Islands as well. But again, if it comes fast enough with the water level so elevated, there still could be some additional issues. Same situation here for our friends in the areas that I mentioned here in Anguilla and St. Martin. And again, I'll just pop on a couple of these numbers. You're going to see that they're very uniform. That's not a bad situation here. So we just expect another ½ inch of rain in most areas. Could be pockets of additional heavier rain. Most of this falls between this Friday afternoon and tomorrow night, Saturday night, with drier weather moving in beginning on Sunday. Guadalupe could still see some decent showers. Same thing for Montserrat. Dominica, it's more of a passing shower. Same thing for Martinique. And again, we get down towards St. Lucia. Again, hey, if we can catch a little bullseye of a ½ inch of rain across St. Lucia, and look at that little part there. If we can take that, 3/4 of an inch of rain and drift it over the island, Speightstown and Bridgetown, our friends in Barbados would enjoy that. Don't expect a ton of rain for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And again, Trinidad and Tobago continue to see at best an odd shower or two, guys. ABC Islands, don't expect a lot of rain there. Again, you could see we have maybe 1/10 of an inch of rain. Basically what this is saying is we could see some of these showers off the mainland drift far enough north to provide a couple of showers, but that's going to be about it. Again, notice that we'll still see some heavy concentrated rain just off the coastline of Panama and Costa Rica. But again, not a lot in the way of wind here, so just pockets of tropical downpours, mainly staying offshore. That would be good news. And again, for my friends in Jamaica, we'll zoom in just a little bit closer here. Montego Bay and Mandeville and Old Harbor and Kingston and Port Antonio and Ocho Rios. We're looking at 1/10, maybe 1/4 of an inch of rain at most, guys. Maybe, 10 to 20 millimeters in a couple of spots. That would be about it. I mean, if we're lucky, a lot of areas will have single digits in millimeters, to be quite honest. We'll see how it plays out. Look at all this high and dry weather here in our western zones. And again, it's the Pacific side of Central America that gets some extensive heavy rain. There's still going to be a ton of tropical moisture here in the Pacific, but it's all moving away from our area and then up towards our friends in the Bahamas. You can see, again, there's just not a lot in the way of heavy rain. I can switch over real quickly here. I guess I already did. Let me see here real quick if I can do total precipitation with this high-res model. See if it brings on just a little bit more for you guys. Let me single frame this up here real quickly, actually. I mean, again, you can see on this high-res model that there could be a nice little swath of heavier rain, but look how isolated that is, right? You know, High Rock, you know, is there going to be that much of a difference between Weston and High Rock and then on over towards the northern sides of Abaco? Maybe, but it's extremely, extremely narrow if we catch some of these showers. So again, unfortunately, guys, what that means is there's a lot of dry locations that will stay in our northern and western zones for the remainder of the weekend ahead. You can always find us across all of social media, guys, not only on these YouTube videos, but we're on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. You want to send me a picture or video, any business inquiries, myMediaMundo@gmail.com. Specific question about the forecast, drop it in the comments section below. Do me a favor as we say goodbye until next time. Hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber, please click that subscribe button right now. Have a great rest of your Friday, friends. You know I'll see you soon right here at Media Mundo.